Deep beneath the sea, where the sunlight glows like a gentle embrace, there existed an enchanted kingdom. The waters were as blue as the most beautiful sky, and the fish swam like stars dancing in the night. This place was the home of mermaids, magical beings with shimmering tails who glided through the water as if they were a part of it. In this kingdom, there was a grand palace made of shells, where the king of the sea, a powerful Triton named Triton, lived. He had 6 mermaid daughters, but the youngest, Ariel, was different from all the others. Ariel had long red hair that floated around her like a mantle of fire, and her eyes sparkled with an endless curiosity. Ariel loved to explore the ocean's depths, discovering hidden caves and collecting treasures she found in old shipwrecks. She kept everything in a secret place, a cave full of things from the human world. Ariel was fascinated by humans, their lives, and their mysterious objects. She spent hours daydreaming, imagining what it would be like to live on the surface, with legs instead of a tail. But, despite her curiosity, Ariel knew that the human world was dangerous for mermaids. Her father, King Triton, always said that humans were cruel and that she should never go near them. But Ariel couldn't help it. Her heart beat faster every time she thought about the world above the sea. And so, between her dreams and her adventures under the sea, Ariel began to wish for something that seemed impossible: to be part of that distant world where the sky was blue and the winds blew free. She wanted more than anything to discover what lay beyond the waves, even if it meant going against everything she knew. One day, while swimming farther than ever before, Ariel saw something that made her stop suddenly. Above her, on the surface of the sea, a large ship was swaying in the waves. The joyful music and bright lights fascinated Ariel, and she swam up to the surface to get a closer look. On the ship, there was a young prince with kind eyes and a charming smile. Ariel couldn't take her eyes off him. She hid behind a rock, watching his every move. Suddenly, the sky darkened, and a fierce storm began to form. The waves grew huge, and the wind blew so hard it seemed to want to tear the ship apart. The ship rocked back and forth, and Ariel watched with a heavy heart as the prince was thrown into the sea. Without a second thought, she dived into the churning waters, swimming with all her strength. Ariel found the prince sinking into the depths and held him tight, bringing him to the surface. Gently, she brought him to shore, where the sand was as soft as cotton. Ariel stayed by his side, waiting for him to wake up, singing a soft song to him. When the prince finally opened his eyes, he saw just a glimpse of Ariel before she dove back into the sea, afraid of being discovered. But Ariel's heart was full of love for the prince she hardly knew. And this love led her to do something very dangerous. Ariel knew there was only one way to be with the prince. She had to become human. And the only creature who could help her was Ursula, the sea witch. Ursula was a dark figure with black tentacles and a wicked smile. She lived in a dark cave full of chains, where the shadows seemed to have a life of their own. Ariel knew Ursula was dangerous, but her desire to be with the prince was so great that she decided to take the risk. When Ariel arrived at the cave, Ursula already knew what she wanted. The sea witch offered a deal. Ariel would have human legs for 3 days, but in return, she had to give up her enchanting voice. If, during those 3 days, the prince didn't fall in love with her, Ariel would become Ursula's prisoner forever. Desperate for love, Ariel agreed. With a spell, Ursula took Ariel's voice, trapping it in a magical shell. Then, amid a whirlwind of magic, Ariel's tail disappeared, and she felt something strange. Legs! Ariel was now ready to live among humans, but without her voice, and with only 3 days to win the prince's heart. With her heart full of hope and fear, She swam to the surface, not knowing what the future held. When Ariel reached the surface, she found herself on a sunny beach. The waves played at her feet, now transformed into human legs. Everything felt so different. Ariel was amazed by the sensation of standing on land, but she quickly remembered the challenge ahead. She needed to make the prince fall in love with her, and without her enchanting voice, it seemed almost impossible. As Ariel tried to take her first steps, a friendly dog appeared, happily running along the sand. Behind him came the prince, the very one she had saved from the sea. Ariel's heart leaped with joy when he saw her and rushed to help. The prince was kind, and even though he didn't understand how she had arrived there, he took her to his castle. In the days that followed, Ariel discovered the human world with wide-eyed wonder and admiration. The colors, the sounds, the smells, everything was new to her. The prince treated her with kindness, and they spent much time together, laughing and exploring the kingdom. Ariel longed to speak to him, to tell him about her world beneath the sea, but without her voice, all she could do was smile and hope that he felt the same way about her. But time was running out. With each sunset, Ariel was reminded of her deal with Ursula, and fear tightened her heart. She needed the prince to love her before the third day ended. But how could he fall in love with someone who couldn't even say her name? At the end of the second day, as Ariel and the prince walked through the castle garden, a shadow seemed to pass over his eyes. The prince told Ariel about the voice that had saved him from the shipwreck, the voice he couldn't forget. Ariel desperately tried to make him understand that it was she who had sung to him that night, but without words, how could she? As the moon shone over the sea, the prince looked out at the horizon, still holding on to the dream of that voice. Ariel, on the other hand, felt time slipping away like sand lost in the wind. And then, as if fate was determined to play a cruel joke on her, a young woman appeared at the castle. She sang with a sweet voice, as sweet as the one the prince remembered. Ariel felt a chill when she realized that the young woman's voice was her own, stolen by Ursula, and now used to deceive the prince. The prince, enchanted by the song, began to believe that this was the girl he had been searching for. Ariel watched with a broken heart as the prince drew closer to the impostor, and the hope she had carried began to fade, like the light of the sun as night falls. On the third day, at dawn, the prince announced that he would marry the young woman with the enchanting voice. Ariel, desperate, felt her strength slipping away. She had risked everything to be with him, but now it seemed that all was lost. With tears in her eyes, she knew that the time was running out and that soon she would be taken back to the sea, forever in Ursula's grasp. The morning of the wedding arrived with a gray sky and strong winds, as if nature itself sensed that something was wrong. Ariel, with a heavy heart, looked out at the sea, where the waves crashed fiercely against the rocks. She knew that time was running out. If the wedding took place, everything would be lost. But beneath the sea, something was stirring. Her friends, Flounder the fish and Sebastian the crab, had discovered the terrible truth. They knew that the young woman with the enchanting voice was actually Ursula in disguise. Determined to save Ariel, they rushed to the surface as fast as they could. As the prince and the impostor prepared for the wedding, Flounder and Sebastian arrived at the castle. With the help of other sea creatures, they created a great commotion, distracting the guests and delaying the ceremony. But even with all the chaos, the prince seemed mesmerized by the voice that wasn't Ariel's. Then, a strong gust of wind tore the magical shell from Ursula's neck, and it fell to the ground, shattering into 1,000 pieces. In that instant, Ariel's voice returned to her, flowing like a long-lost song. The prince, hearing the voice that had saved him, realized the truth. He looked at Ariel, and the memory of that night on the beach came rushing back. He now knew that it was Ariel he loved, not the imposter. Furious at being exposed, Ursula revealed her true form, growing in size and power. The sea churned, and the sky grew even darker. With gigantic tentacles and eyes glowing with rage, Ursula tried to capture Ariel and the prince, determined to destroy them both. But Ariel was no longer alone. The prince, with newfound courage, faced Ursula, while Ariel used her wits and agility to escape the witch's grasp. An epic battle unfolded, with lightning illuminating the sky and giant waves threatening to swallow everything around them. At the darkest moment, when all seemed lost, the prince managed to grab Triton's trident, which Ursula had stolen. With a precise strike, he hurled the trident at the witch, who let out a deafening scream. Ursula's magic unraveled, and she was pulled into the depths of the sea, disappearing into the dark abyss from where she came. With Ursula defeated, the sea calmed once more, and the sun began to peek through the clouds. Ariel and the prince, exhausted, embraced each other, knowing they had overcome the greatest of dangers together. The love between them, now clear and true, had triumphed over the darkness. With the sunlight finally bathing the ocean, calm returned to the underwater kingdom and the surface. Ariel and the prince, now united by true love, looked at each other with a happiness neither of them had ever known. The prince, grateful for everything Ariel had done to save him, asked King Triton for his blessing so that Ariel could live by his side, on land, as a human. King Triton, who had witnessed how much his daughter had risked for love, saw in her eyes the sincere desire to be with the prince. Although his fatherly heart ached at the thought of being separated from his dearest daughter, he knew that Ariel's true love was as deep as the sea. With a graceful wave of his trident, King Triton granted Ariel human legs, this time forever. Her mermaid tail transformed into delicate legs, and Ariel felt the warm sand beneath her feet as the prince held her hand. Ariel and the prince's wedding was celebrated with joy in both the underwater kingdom and on land. Mermaids, fish, and birds sang in harmony, celebrating the union of two worlds so different yet brought together by love. And amid all this joy, Ariel knew she had found her place, a place where her heart could be at peace. But Ariel's story is more than just a love story. It is a tale of courage, of following your heart even when the path is difficult and full of dangers. Ariel teaches us that when we wish for something with all our heart, when we are willing to face our fears and fight for our dreams, we can overcome any obstacle. And so, the Little Mermaid, who once dreamed of being part of the human world, found her happy ending, not just because she became human, but because she discovered that true love can transform everything. In the end, Ariel not only changed her own life, but also brought a new understanding between the two worlds, showing that love is the bridge that can unite even the most different of realms. And so, in the depths of the ocean and on the sunlit shores of the land, the story of the Little Mermaid lives on forever, a reminder that true magic lies in hearts that believe in their dreams. Thank you so much for watching this video. I sincerely appreciate your time and effort in following along with the story. Your dedication to learning English is truly inspiring. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a like. This way, you won't miss out on more stories and tips that can help you on your language learning journey. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.